Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time out to be a part of this webinar today. Before we begin, I would just like to share some house rules for the participants. Requesting all participants to stay on mute at all times. Please use the chat box to share any feedback, suggestions, and if you have any questions as well. When you're sharing questions, do mention your name and the organization so it would be easier for us to identify and answer. Also, we would take up a few questions at the end of the session. So do stay with us till the end. We would love to have our speakers answer all your questions. So welcome everybody to this webinar. And we are so happy to have all of you here as we discuss the quality of teacher and child relationships. And I'm sure as I'm saying this, all of you are thinking about that one teacher who's made a huge impact in your life. We all have teachers who have made such a huge impact in our lives, whether it could just be because they've motivated us, believed in us, or simply just been there for us and valued us as individuals. And especially as little children, we really need somebody to value us and appreciate us. So thank you once again for being a part of this. Before we begin, I would just like to share something about Muktangan. So, we are a community owned educational project, primarily based in Mumbai's G South ward, where we offer child friendly, inclusive, and holistic education. Over the years, we have been able to successfully impact more than 4,000 children each year through our active learning. More than 900 community members who are women have been placed and trained through our teacher education program. And we've also been able to successfully reach out to more than 75,000 children and more than 5,000 teachers and teacher educators through our outreach projects. And we are really happy to have a collaborative forum like this where we can discuss and brainstorm and reflect on how the quality of teacher and child relationship should be. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speakers for today's session. I'd just like to share my screen. I hope everybody can see this.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. We have with us Ms. Vasundhara Sanghi, who has a master's in medical and psychiatric social work from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and she also has a lot of experience working with different NGOs. Currently, as the head of student care services in Dhirubhai Ambani International School, uh, which provides learning and social and emotional support and counseling support to students across the school. Welcome, ma'am. We are so happy to have you here today.
Thank you
We
so much.
also we also have Ms.Pushpam Mary Paul, who has more than 16 years of experience and a passion to drive change within the education sector. She has more than 7 years of experience as a trained teacher and more than 9 years as the headmistress of Mumbai Public English School. She aims to enable stakeholders develop values and skills that would enable them to lead a quality life. Professor H.Rokade has completed her MSc in microbiology and is currently also pursuing her PhD in education. She's presently working in HGM Azam College of Education as an assistant professor with subject expertise in guidance and counseling. We have Mr. Allen Francis Koli, who has completed his BA and DLEd and has a lot of experience working with different schools like Kasturba Gandhi School in Gandhinagar. And now, for the last 7 years, he has been teaching in Muktangan. Over the years, he has been able to successfully understand the factors that drive positive teacher child relationships in the classroom. Thank you so much to all the speakers for being a part of today's session. And now, without further ado, I'd like to hand over the discussion to Ms. Gauravi Jadhav, who is the leader of early childhood education in Muktangan. Over to you, Gauravi ma'am, to take this discussion forward.
Okay, hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to this webinar series that Muktangan has introduced. This is the first one. We'll be doing many more webinars in the coming days also. So lovely to have each and every one of you here. Can you hear me clearly? Because I am constantly getting this message on my screen that my internet connection is unstable. So are you able to see me and hear me clearly?
We can hear
if
you.
Yes,
We can
type
hear you
yes
very
in the chat.
clearly. Yes.
Clearly? Okay, great. Thank you. So wonderful. So if you all, how are you feeling today? Tell me in one word, how are you feeling, everyone? We're talking about quality early childhood relationships. Teacher-child relationships. We are talking about emotions, how we feel. So how are you feeling right now? If you're excited, type excited. If you're sad, type sad. If you're happy, type happy. If you're bored, type bored. So whatever that is you're feeling right now, just type in one word in the chat. Using the chat function, we don't want you to unmute and speak when the speakers are speaking, but we would definitely like to have active participation from you so that the session is alive with each other. Excited and happy. Thank you. Excited, energized. Lovely. What about others? We've got few responses here. And I know it is afternoon and it's Saturday afternoon, but it would be lovely if you're awake and that you're participating with each other. Yeah. And as Shruti said, you have any questions, anything that you comment that you have, if you hear something from one of our speakers and you want to appreciate them, please feel free to say that in the comments. If you feel that there is something that some very irrelevant issue that has come up and you resonate with it, please do let us know in the chat. You have any questions, you could let us know that too. So we'll begin with our discussion with our esteemed speakers today. And I would be asking a common question where all four of our speakers, one after the others, would share their perspective on. Okay. So the very first person that I would like to speak or to share, and likewise the speakers one after the other, what according to you and what is your perspective of a high teacher-child relationship, high quality teacher-child relationship? So Ms. Vasundhara, if you would like to share that.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. As Gauravi and Shruti said, it's a Saturday afternoon. So even as speakers, we appreciate the commitment of all of you with regards to this. Shruti stole my line. I was going to also talk about how all of us have a memory of a teacher. We remember teachers who molded us and who empowered us and advocated for us. We also remember teachers who impacted us sometimes in a negative way. Those memories stay with you. And, in counseling, I'm a counselor. So one of the things that we are told right at the beginning in our profession is that you never have a neutral effect on your client, and especially with children, right? So you have either a positive effect or a negative effect. And that's very important to remember. So I'm going to just start with a little personal anecdote of, when we talk about who are the teachers that we remember with respect, are the teachers who respected us and understood us. I think that's like a core aspect of the high quality aspect. I was a very average student and I sort of bumbled through, excelled in subjects I liked, rebelled and struggled with subjects that I didn't. My parents dreaded PTMs because they were constantly told how I was smart, but I could do better. I could work harder. And this was said to them till in grade 7, a new teacher joined the school and was the first person at the PTM to tell my parents that, you know what, you've got a child who kind of knows her own mind and is going to land on her feet. And that was the first time my parents came back from a PTM and I almost for the first time said, you know what, maybe I'm going to be okay, because I constantly worried about whether I would be fine in the big world that we always warn our students about. Um, this was a big turnaround moment for me, and to that teacher I dedicated working as hard as I could and making an effort in that subject. I'm still in touch with her. I still remember her every Teacher's Day, and it's been a good 40 years since I graduated from school. uh, I know after this, I met many teachers who would inspire me. I'm a counselor today because I've had fantastic psychology teachers. And I even wanted to be a teacher, but eventually landed up anyway in education, and I've had the opportunity to work with students. I think what's important to acknowledge is teachers play a very different role than they did previously. Previously, you were the imparters of education, of knowledge, but today your parents, your counselors, and we even have a term, we refer to them as frontline workers, frontliners, which is actually a war terminology, because sometimes you are going into a classroom that's like a war zone, and you're the next people that students spend so much time within their day, sometimes even more maybe than their parents. And that's why this relationship is so important. uh, all over the world, research indicates that teachers are underpaid and overworked. They're overwhelmed because knowledge in their subject is not sufficient anymore to be able to engage their students. Even the medical fraternity is not happy with Dr. Google because you've got so much information at ready access, right? Uh, Keeping students engaged, instilling in them a joy of learning in a current extremely competitive educational and academic environment that we live in is very, very challenging. And students are themselves overwhelmed and sometimes distracted in the age of information and technology. So, COVID also came with its own challenges and resulted in learning gaps. Uh, Most importantly, I just want to say that it's important to know your students, take a personal interest in them beyond the academic subject that one is teaching. Because your subject may not, it may be what you love to do, but it may not be what they love to do. Uh, Take an interest in their hobbies, their achievements. Very often, I know as a counselor that there are many things that are going on in their personal lives that one is not aware of, and they will not share that with you. And it is not your right to know, it is their right to share. Uh, and keeping that in mind, sometimes it's important to know that I work with so many students who, for them, school is, we want school to be a home away from home, but let me tell you that sometimes it is more of a home, especially if they're having any kind of trauma in their background, in their home situations, which again, they're grateful for the emotional support that schools provide and the distraction it provides. So that's what I want to say, just in terms of at least initiating the discussion with regards to a high quality relationship between teachers and students.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much, Vasundhara ma'am, for your perspective. I would now like to invite Miss Mary, who's an HM of a school. So from an HM's perspective, how do you look at high quality teacher-child relationships? Mary ma'am?
Good, good afternoon, madam. Thank you for giving the time to speak today. Really, it is a different way when you see as an HM, as an administration, when we go inside a classroom, it's we are little away from our kids. So we have to be very careful while measuring the quality. As our teacher has played a very beautiful role for us, in the same way, the teachers are their role model for the students. So in my experience, mostly I prefer to observe the class. The first look that we look at the class, we can really come to know about how the class teacher is involved with the kids. Once the discipline, the class communication level, the way the children are energetic, the presentation at the one look establishes the students-teachers relationship. But more than that, as an HM, I always prefer to measure. When it comes to measure the quality of the student, so I have a way of dealing with it. Mostly I divide it into two parts, scores other than test. Okay, one, I have the scores that they get in their academic year according to their subject. Second point, the scores other than their test. Okay, if I deal with the scores other than the test, I have 6 points inside it. First, I see the activeness. I always try to observe how the students are active in the class, how they respond to their teacher. Is the student really willing to give answer to the teacher? Whatever she's teaching from the last years, is the student really attached with the teacher? Second, I always say that the students are taking participation or not. The second point I would like to determine here is the participation. So the child, when the child comes to the school, he should have an what we say, we can say that you should have the like to participate in each and every activity other than the studies also. As in the house, we don't only go for sleeping or eating. We have a family bounding. Whatever we have in ourselves, whatever feeling or the thought, we always try to share with the family members. So the child, once it comes here, he should like to come here and participate whatever programs we have in our school. It may be in sports, or a debate competition or a dance, anything, wherever he wants, but the child should take a active participation. Third thing that I would measure is discipline. If the child is disciplined, the value of kids are the most. Nowadays, we are seeing the effect of it. As you ma'am also determined little earlier, that Corona has changed everybody's life. The way of looking at the education has changed. Totally, it has changed. The children's first standard are such aware, or due to the mobile, they're aware so much that they know everything. One of the kids did something very differently, which is not right according to the rule. So we called the parent. I said, madam, your child has did this thing in second class because he doesn't know what is the thing that he has seen in the mobile. He's just trying it out. Okay, so we need to teach them the values. We need to teach them the discipline. Then only a person can be a successful. As I said earlier also, I have many passionate to follow the values. If the child doesn't follow the value, he will never become successful. He may be a beautiful singer, beautiful dancer, but sometimes it might hinder him due to his discipline, irregular activities that he performs. It will lead him to the bad ways. So I prefer third point, that is discipline. Fourth is the communication. As I said, family, we always share our thoughts and feeling. Same should take place in the class. The child is sitting idle, the teacher's relationship will never develop and will never attain the educational quality. So sharing time, always there shouldn't be teaching and teaching in the class. We should have some sharing time where the child can convey his own, express his views to us. So that if the child is fearful, or if he doesn't want this class or class teachers or this atmosphere, if he's not liking us also, he should be fearlessly, he should come and tell me. In my school, I have always observed there is 3 medium of schools. Marathi medium is there. Sorry, the 2 mediums are there, Marathi and English. But I feel very proud of myself when as an HM, I am working in my English medium school, but my kids in the Marathi medium give me the same respect and dedication. One day, they just pulled my hand and they took me to their class and they said, madam, just tell these kids that they are behaving so badly. See, the class teacher is not in the class. She is on casual leave and all these children are making so much of noise. So I told them, can you just call your own HM or your teacher? So they told, no, but you are big, ma'am, you know, you need to speak to them. So this communication, that is where the communication, sharing time. Whenever we come to the building, we have to be alert about all the things. Not only it is related to me, I'll speak. No, everything we cannot relate. Like, we have to develop the communication wherever we are. So in the class atmosphere also, I expect the same things. Fifth point, value. Which value you have inputted in the kids, such as helping, cooperation mind, what the teacher feels about the child. I would like to know from them. And even when I observe their lessons, I look unto them, which children are develop the values. Sixth point that I would like to tell now is regularity in the school. The student, if the student is regular in the school, then only he can score in any test, in any academic activities, in saying anything. Okay, so I mostly prefer if the student is regular or irregular. After 2 days, if it takes an holiday, I make an attempt and I talk to them individually. I know all my kids' name. I have nearly around 1,500 kids. I have observed this because in the most of our honorable AO meeting, whenever they give us some list, just see if your students' names are there. So I never call my teacher. All the HMs to call their teacher. I'm sending you the list and then just observe if the student is ours or not. But I have seen that I was able to identify all my students from last 10 to 15 years, whatever I'm working, I can identify each and every student in that list. So I feel very proud, and I always insist my teachers also, if you take more interest in your students, they will surely be regular in your class. So these are the 6 points I think I would like to share to develop a good teacher-child relationship and how I measure in my own school. Thank you, madam.
Wonderful, wonderful perspective. And I think working for a government school and inside the system and yet being aware of values and focusing on getting the children to communicate and teachers and children to communicate, a very valid point you raised, that communication is very, very important for teacher-child relationships. And that these indicators of quality can then, as an HM, help you and to guide teachers also to work effectively. And also you mentioned parents also. Wonderful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing your perspective. I would now like to ask Mr. Allen, from a teacher's perspective, what do you see, how do you see high quality teacher-child relationship? So we will like to hear your experiences about it and
Yes,
some
ma'am.
examples.
Actually, first of all, I'm
related
very glad and proud of myself to be in a Muktangan because there is a teacher-child ratio comes first, where we have one teacher with 10 to 15 children. And through that, we are having very good relationship with the children. Here in Muktangan, we are just facilitated, and according to our lesson plan, we try to children engage and have the active constructivism. And while doing this lesson also, we go around and have a check whether they are doing properly or not, whether they are getting a lesson properly or not. And through that, we come to know. My experience is that after 10th standard, one of the child came to me, and I was wonder how come I became his motivated teacher, and I never thought about it because he told me that, sir, because of you, I have selected such and such. Means he has selected NDA, the National Defense Academy. So that lesson was so much. Lesson was so much deep inside him that he, from that day onwards, he made his mind to become a soldier and all that. So I was not there. I didn't think about it. Other child, he from his parents, I came to know that his mother is to tell me that he never listened to me, but he listens to you very well. That much relationship was there with me. Though I have taught him in A standard and standard 9, but when he went in the standard 10 also, he used to come each and every time to share his marks and progress. And he made really feeling so proud that in a 10th standard, in his whole group, he stood first, and my faculty, she also was very happy with that boy who was below average in standard 8, and he uh, scored that much marks in standard 10. And I don't know, and he was sharing that it is because of your all the teachers work and your inspirational motivation and all. So I really was taken up. I never thought about it. As Vasundhara have told that we are thinking about our teachers, but when we are becoming like them, it is really a great thing what we are doing. I never miss. This is a really even if I am not getting any salary of like that, but these things if I am getting, it is worthwhile when a child is telling me like that, and still they are keeping in that relationship. Wherever they are there, whenever they are meeting me, they never forget. So much they have means that relationship have maintained, and I'm still here. Even now in the new school where I've shifted, some earlier children they came and they were just having some fun that this school has come, and we can meet easily now teachers and all. So that relationship we can maintain was very good. And as Mary ma'am had told that all things are there, these things we do engage our children to our lesson plan, that every child should get, each and every child should get a proper understanding. If it is not happening, so we get to that child and we do these things.
Wow, wow. So heartfelt, and being teachers, all the teachers here, if you are listening, I'm sure so many other examples would come flooding in your mind where this child said this to me, or that child of mine came back after so many years and said something really amazing, and the progress that the children have made. And they say, in a lot of research has also said that it's not what you teach, it's how you are, how you make them feel, how our children feel in our classrooms. That is what they take ahead in life. And if they feel valued, if they feel respected, if they feel loved by us, that is what comes back to us. They might not remember the exact content that you taught them, but they'll remember the feeling that you gave them. So awesome. Thank you so much, Alan, for sharing that. I would now
Thank you, ma'am.
like Ms. Vrushali to share her perspective on high quality teacher-child relationship. And she being from a teacher education background, so she would speak from her perspective. We would love to know that.
Yeah, thank you for helping me on that. Actually, after hearing all the three speakers, I would like to focus on how we mentor our teachers, student teachers, to be a good teacher or role model for the students in the school. So, since ours is a professional college, okay, so we check their teaching aptitude when they come, means at the time of the admission, or we can say when they enter in B.Ed course. Okay, so at that time we check their teaching aptitude, and after a completion of the B.Ed also. Okay, the 2 time feedback is taken, and that time we usually, means it is a 99%. It is always a good mentoring and good teacher-student relationship, which is reflected in their placements. Okay, and let me tell you, the place where I working is a minority college, Muslim minority, and the students are from they are not highly educated. The family backgrounds are not highly educated. These are their first generation who are into the education. So the girls are from the background where their parents are not educated, and they have struggled a lot to come to this level. Means after graduation they are into the professional college, and then to sustain 2 years and complete the B.Ed course and then successfully to get the job, it is a very tough route for them. And to mentor them, to have a good what we can say, good concentration on the studies also, and managing their home, back home also, because most of the girls are married with their families, living with their in-laws and their husband. So what we do over here is a very good teacher student relationship. That is the mentoring, micro group mentoring are there. We have a well established micro groups wherein we have our student with us, and a continuous mentoring is going on regarding their academic, as well as if they have any problems related to their family, or while continuing their education. And due to this mentoring, we have a personal touch, or we can say a connect between our students, which definitely help them to complete their course as well, and to get good placement also. So what we feel is the mentoring is the most important aspect, where we will help the student to accomplish their goals as well as the college goals. What, and this is the my perspective which I would like to share. And on the
Wow.
individual basis, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm. I think there is
Lovely,
something.
lovely.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, great, great. Thank you
Mhm.
for sharing your perspective.
Mhm.
I would now like to ask Ms. Vasundhara, uh, what are the benefits of having good quality teacher-child relationships for both the teacher and the child? Could you elaborate a little bit on that? Is Ms. Vasundhara there? I can't see her.
We request all participants to please stay on mute when the speakers are speaking. Thank you.
Ms. Vasundhara, are you there? I am not able to see her on screen.
Maybe we could move ahead and come back to Ms. Vasundhara once she joins.
Okay, okay. So I would like to ask Miss Mary, when you are looking at children moving from one classroom to the other, so does the quality of a teacher-child relationship, does it have any implication, or does it affect children when they're going from one class to the other? Have you seen any challenges or issues that children have in adjusting to different teachers? I would like you to share your perspective on that. Miss Mary?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, really there is a change, because teachers make changes in the students' life, especially for in grade 1 students. When the as an being an HM, on the administration part, as we discussed, it is in government school, the teachers ratio mainly it differs time to time. If the ratio is properly maintained, at that time, I usually prefer to carry on the same teacher to the next class, so that they can do their best and give their best, because they know more the kids. But sometimes, due to insufficiency of teachers, we try to manage. Okay, we keep 50 students, so ratio is not maintained. So if the ratio is not maintained, if I'm making a balance, the students are affected. The students come and they tell us, why did you change my teacher? You know, like they are very, how can you take our teacher to other class? They will just, if I tell na, after some days I'll give you back your teacher only, just please continue. They will go and personally tell their parent, we are not happy. We want our teacher only. Madam has done some adjustment because there is no teacher in 7th standard. Na? So our madam has done. But we want our teacher, so lovable she was. So this makes a difference, really makes a difference in our kids' life. And they don't give up because they are attached emotionally. Because every teacher is different. Some are lovable. So after being under a loving condition of a mother, and if I give them a strict teacher, then they are like, this teacher is very strict, you know, madam, she is beating me and everything. And when I will ask them, for what you got the beating? Ma'am, actually, I was just, I hit one person, so she scolded me and gave one. You should not touch anybody. So you are wrong, na? So why did you tell the teacher is wrong? So under a loving condition and after being in a strict condition, it's a totally different. But as a teacher, we need a lovable situation. Plus, we need to be in strict in their education and discipline also. So that will manage their life very well. Second thing that the children face is the adjustment space. Already with if a God has given us some family and all of a sudden the family is going to change, it is very difficult because already we are adjusted with our own people in our own house. So changing is not, it doesn't give them a space for a small kids. Okay, with us, if it is so difficult to change our family, for them, it is a great family for them. A teacher is just everything for them. So the adjustment spaces are for them is becoming very difficult. Sometimes even they bring their parents to talk with me. Sometimes what happens is they start lag behind. If we don't keep our students teachers ratio, then they start lacking behind in the studies also. The students who are very intelligent may cope up, but not with all the kids, as we don't have our fingers say. So we cannot expect from our kids to be grown up so much. So we need to manage it, looking around the surrounding every year, managing the according to the school level, but keeping the student in the mind. It will work out a lot, madam. Otherwise, we will disturb them emotionally. We will disturb their space. We will also disturb their whole study background. So if we keep all this in mind, not only looking at our administration level, we need to little go in front and just see from a point of view of a kid also. Because it makes a difference, madam. We cannot say that it doesn't make a difference. Sitting in an office, looking at the administration level, I won't be able. I realized this, madam, very from my bottom of my heart. I shared one experience in last Muktangan meeting also, but I will try to tell that little part today. As I was taking my B.Ed lessons in my own class of 8th standard. After taking a class, my observers left, and then I came to my own office and I was just doing all my own works only. The class teacher came and just told me, madam, the kids are telling, please you don't come. Please you give our madam every day 1 hour. Roj aap mat aiye. Please, we want our madam. If for a few minutes, we are going to the class, few hours we are giving them, that can make such a great difference due to our teaching, communication, everything. They liked us due to teaching aids that we use. That might have attracted them a lot. So really the teacher who is for 6 hours will make a definite change in their life, madam. So I will prefer that I, according to the situation of the students, I make a change when the grades are changing.
Yes, that is such a relevant point, that we miss the teacher who was there in the last grade, and then the quality of the teacher-child relationship really does influence how the children adjust as they move grades from one level to the other.
Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I
Vasundhara
would
ma'am is back.
like Vasundhara ma'am. Yes, yes, yes. So Vasundhara ma'am, we would like to know from you, what are the benefits that high quality teacher-child relationships are for the teacher, for the child, for the parent, and for all the stakeholders involved? So if you could throw a little light on that.
Thank you, Gauravi. Sorry about that. I got kicked out by technology because my Wi-Fi went. So this is the one of the disadvantages of being online. But yeah, so I think I missed some of the conversations. But I wanted to just take over from where Mary ma'am was speaking about some of these aspects of like working. So I think one of the most important things are to create a safe learning environment in the classroom. Now, this can be very deceptive. We think that we are, but uh, I work a lot with adolescents and with sort of even now middle schoolers, and they're very sensitive, right? So to give an example, I remember, so I take the life skills classes in my school, and I used to find a lot of the boys were not responding to questions that I asked, and they were talking on the side. And so, one of the strategies I used was to sort of like create like cards with names, and I brought it to the class and I said, "Look, I'm going to randomly pick a name." And I thought maybe they wouldn't like that because sometimes they don't like being caught off guard. But actually, what I found was that when the students at that awkward age, they don't like to offer themselves. So, you don't want to be the goody student or the student who's constantly answering the teacher's questions. So I found them much more responsive actually, because they were almost like it's been taken out of our hands. The teacher is not pinpointing a particular student, but it's a complete random selection. And this is a very well known teaching, or what we call a differentiation strategy in the classroom, right? Another technique that I find is, the art of asking the right kind of question or asking questions in a way. So you even have students who are really good students who sometimes as a teacher there it's very easy to go to these students because they'll always have a response, they'll always have the right answer. It almost makes you look good as a teacher being in that environment. But sometimes even they have their anxieties and struggles and challenges. And I've had students who have come and said, "Will you write me a note for my teachers? Because today I'm just finding myself very exhausted and overwhelmed. And I don't know how they feel. They don't want to disappoint their teachers. So they say we don't." And even though I know these teachers personally and they're very respectful of their students, still sometimes students struggle to tell their teachers how they are feeling emotionally. I have to say, having said that, the teachers were very respectful. The child just handed the note quietly to them at the beginning of the class, and for that class they just let them be. uh, Another, as I said, was mutual respect. So role modeling respectful behaviors is very important. I know that it's challenging to constantly be in charge of your emotions or in control of your emotions, and teachers who are working with large classes or back to back classes, marking papers when they go home, it is an equally exhausting experience. But at the same time, uh, role modeling to them that no matter what's going on with you, you're still able to come in and be there, engaged in the learning process. So again, moving that to the second point is having a positive and patient attitude, right? To be empathetic, to be non-judgmental, to not be parental all the time, because they get that at home. And I think when students are younger, having a slightly parental attitude to them is good. But when they get older, uh, helping them develop their identity is a good way of letting them choose how they want to be. They may not be in the like in a complete like frame of mind that day to engage, and it may not be just because they are being lazy or they don't care. They do care. Again, I think someone mentioned good communication. It's very important to be objective. Start each day anew. Even though yesterday your student might have driven you up the wall or really challenged you, the next day give them a fresh start. Give yourself a fresh start and give them a fresh start. Again, earlier I said, be careful of phrases like work hard or do better, because that's very generic. It's give them something specific that they can do to move themselves to another level. And that is much more helpful to them in terms of feedback. Maintain student equality. We don't like being compared. Students don't like being compared to each other. Each of them are unique and have their skills and strengths. Currently, education is in a strength building approach. We look at the strengths. We don't focus on weaknesses and challenges because that's really difficult to bring up, but we boost strengths of our students. So finding strengths in your students and lifting them from that is a very strong way of building rapport with your students. And timely praise, right? Praise is very important. Being able to instill in your students a concept of what we call intrinsic motivation. We talk about our students being motivated, but intrinsic motivation is very important because they must identify and be aware of the value of their learning. If it is extrinsic, and we have this activity that we do with our students, and most of them find that the reasons why they're doing something is extrinsically motivated. So getting them to identify that is really important. A positive student-teacher relationship in itself can be very powerful. In counseling, we call this a concept of a therapeutic alliance, right? We say just that rapport is enough to make your client feel hopeful about addressing their challenges or working on their strengths, right? And it's beneficial and healing in itself, and therefore puts a lot of value on learning. Creating conditions where our students can thrive. There's another concept that we use in counseling called frame of reference. It means entering your client's reality. If you want to influence change, you can only do it if the person opposite you feels that you really understand where they're coming from. Once that trust is developed, then the change is much easier to follow and adopt. If when we were talking about what kind of teachers are remembered, humor is very important in the classroom. I heard Mary ma'am, I missed, I think, some of the other speakers, but I did hear Mary ma'am make a lot of references to like fun that they have in the classroom. Believing in what your students are doing, even if it's something small, and being curious about them, listening as much as speaking. I remember a student of mine who was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, decided to take that leap of faith and share it with their teacher. And then the teacher, I think, was maybe caught off guard and didn't know how to react. So they told them, you should be strong. The world is a difficult place. So we need to be very careful that when someone is actually sharing their mental health diagnosis with you, how do we handle these things? Again, we've talked about knowing and understanding your students. There's a very interesting story, and I'm sure all of you have heard it, where they say that a class teacher asked her students every day for the next day who they would want to sit next to. And she would look at those notes in the evening, and she would look at who didn't want to be sat next to. And that would give her indicators of who were the students who were struggling. Mostly, we tend to just look at how things are normal, right? So it's very important to keep an eye out for what we call the outliers. Students with learning needs, I work very actively in that space, and I know how sometimes they feel excluded. Those even students who are gifted struggle because they sometimes are sidelined for just being so smart. Students with autism who don't have the social cues to be able to interact in a highly social environment, which is what a school is. They don't have a place to get away. I had a student who's autistic and came one day and said to me, I'm going to have a conversation with you, but I'm not going to look at you. But this is not something that they can tell other teachers, because sometimes, so if child is looking away, it seems that they're disinterested, but they're not disinterested. Children who doodle are not necessarily distracted and not paying attention. Some students with ADHD find doodling helps them be even more like focused in the classroom. Understanding gender stereotypes and issues, they're much more aware now. Sexual orientation, if you are fortunate, someone may share that with you if they are having questions. Understanding some of these other aspects of students. Another thing is speaking the students' language, understanding their lingo. So recently on Teachers' Day, our students played a game. So they do the students set up a whole event for the teachers, and they played this game where they put their slang on the board and they asked us to interpret what it actually meant. And I'm not joking, we got about 3 out of 15 right. I mean, we failed in terms of knowing the slang and the lingo that they're using, and it doesn't matter regional language, English, their slang that teenagers are using. Trusting and respecting students and advocating with students, even with parents. I've had students at parent-teacher meetings when the mother has been speaking and asking about them, and the student doesn't want me to tell them that they've been coming for counseling. I've had them lean back in their chair and make big eyes at me and shake their head and say, "Don't tell my mom anything." So picking up on some of these verbal cues, but at the same time, the parents' role in terms of you have to work collaboratively. So you build the relationship and the communication between the child and the parent, because that's beneficial to you. We are a culture that is a collectivist culture, a familial culture, and I don't believe that young people should just be accessing counselors for things that they can talk to teachers about, or talk to their parents about, or talk to their friends about, So the benefits of teacher-student relationships, I think someone talked about students who are absent. I think chronic absenteeism is very critical. If it reduces absenteeism, if you find a student is absent a lot, it's something to look into. Academic achievement is strengthened by this relationship, and even the goals of students, they feel hopeful and empowered about setting themselves futuristic goals because of this relationship.
Wow. Wow. I mean, you've shared such a whole wide range of insights on what are the benefits, what are the different strategies. I think you've shared such amazing different ideas as to what happens inside a school setting. And this whole aspect of what you want in your classroom, and developing that emotional and social climate that is appropriate depending on the age of the child. I mean, you've really brought out all of those finer nuances also that go into a teacher-child relationship, which probably not all the time teachers might be aware of, or would be focusing on when they are talking about teacher-child relationships, or when they're working with children. I would like Vrushali ma'am for you to share. Now, it's so important, teacher-child relationship is so crucial. So how do you prepare teachers for this? How do teachers who are doing teacher education, what do you do in the teacher education so that they're ready to work on this very important part of their role as teachers, is to build quality teacher-child relationships?
Yes. What I was saying, the curriculum of the teacher education is designed in a such a way that we start with the the theory part, and then we move on to the practical aspect of the thing. Now, the theory part is again divided into two parts. That is the core courses, where the perspective of education is taught. Now, what are those perspectives? We will see in the next option, next slide. After core courses are the optional courses. Now, these optional courses are specialized courses. Okay, as a teachers and as the HM, the recruiters know that we select the teacher based on their method subjects, isn't it? Whether they are maths and science and specialization, English, or social sciences based on that. Now, these optional courses or specialized courses are the methods like science, maths, so, languages, and social sciences. Then comes the practicing for constructivist teaching learning. That is where the actual practical work goes on. Okay, so whatever they have learned in the core courses and optional courses is done in this practicing for constructivist teaching and learning part. And the last part is the enhancing professional capacities. We can move on to the next slide, ma'am. Yeah. So the here we can see the core courses. The first one like childhood and growing up, where actually the BEd students come to know that how the children grow up, what are their psychological needs, and how the growing or the psychological needs, where their demands are satisfied or not, whether the surrounding, whether the environment, family background, the school environment, the effect of all this, along with the social background uh, is considered. And then if you see the next one, the contemporary Indian society, gender and society, here I would like to say that Vasundhara ma'am was saying that children from different backgrounds are there, isn't it? As well as there is individual difference in the classroom also. Some of them are gifted learners, some of them are slow learners, some of them are with some disability, learning disability, physical disability. So considering all these aspects are considered over here. Then learning and teaching, what are the principles of learning and what are and how they are implemented in teaching is taught in this core courses. Then assessment and evaluation for learning, where how the child are how the assessment is done in the school, and how the evaluation process is carried out, whether it is for summative, formative, or the overall academic achievement, how we can improve the overall academic achievement of the students. Now, the next core course is very important: advanced pedagogy and application of ICT. The advanced pedagogy focus on the all latest what we can say teaching methodologies, using various techniques and models of teaching. Okay, like cooperative learning, collaborative learning, experiential learning, demonstrative way. Then for languages, we have different methods of dealing teaching languages, like storytelling, games, vocabulary, to increase their vocabulary. The vocabulary games are there. Then we have blended learning. Most latest in advanced pedagogy is the blended learning and flipped classroom. Okay, where the children are exposed to both online and offline mode in the same classroom. Let us focus on, if we see the flipped classroom, wherein the students are given the work at home, and when they come in the classroom, they will are able to discuss on the topic which they have learned at home. Okay, and when we say the blended learning, at that time they are doing the work using the online mode of within the class. So they have a live interaction with their teacher and the classmate, along with they can refer the online references also. Okay, so advanced pedagogy help the student to means the teacher student. Now whenever I say student, are the teacher students, with those who are going to become teachers in near future. Okay, so they get to know and they practice this all methods, so that when they move on to the school, or we can say when they on go to the jobs, they will be equipped with all these methods and prepared for teaching those methods. Then quality and management of the school focus on how the administrative part is going on in the school, and how they can give their inputs in it. Or also they will come to know the school system, how the school runs, and what will be their part in that. The knowledge and curriculum and language across curriculum. Now this is something new which is included in the curriculum of teacher education. Okay, they should know how the curriculum is constructed, what are different steps required to construct the curriculum, because for every level, whether it is primary, secondary, higher secondary, or at higher education, the curriculum construction is a different task, and the required or the committees required for curriculum setting are also different. So this will give them insight into the how curriculum is framed and how it can be implemented in the school. Then school and inclusive school. Now since the inclusiveness is more open, now there is no demarcation that the student with certain disability should go to this particular school only. The students are open to each and every school. Now this inclusiveness is taught to the students, BEd students, so that when they go into the school, they will not differentiate between the students with special ability, sorry, or we can say disability. Okay. And then is the guidance and counseling, where I am really involved with, because for last 9 to 10 years I am with this subject, and I feel that this is the time or need of the time, that it is required very much. Okay. And now the government has also made it mandatory that every school should have a counselor, because the scenario is changing. Previously the families were joint families, where parents are there, the grandparents were there, uncle, aunt, means the joint, the members are too many, and they were able to look after the children. But nowadays the scenario has changed, the families has become nuclear, the parents are working and children are all alone at home. Who are looking after them? The caretakers. Okay. That time they are compromising on the emotional aspect of the students, isn't it? And all this has hampered their learning abilities. They are not able to focus, they get easily diverted to the wrong sides.
Wow.
So yeah, exactly. So here the counseling comes into the focus, and the role of the counselor is very important. And I feel this paper really help our BA student to gear up as a teacher and as a counselor when they go into the school.
Wow.
So yes, exactly. And
Absolutely.
nowadays there are so many problems that the students are facing in the school. If you for example, the students, those who are in 8th, 9th, 10th, they are at the age of their puberty. Their physical needs as well as the emotional needs are changing, but at home there is no one to look after them. So at that time, if their peer group is not proper, and if the school is not giving them proper guidance, they might get diverted to the wrong side. But if the teacher is good, if she is looking into the matter very closely, that this particular child is not paying attention, she is not into the her studies, she is into some different world, or she is into her own world. At that time, if the counselor or a teacher comes into the play and had a good conversation with her, and if they consult their parents also, the problem can be sorted out. Then one of the other major problem nowadays is violence in the school. Okay, for secondary school especially. Okay, there are a hell lot of violence going in the school, which many a times the teachers are not able to handle. Hmm? At that time also the counselor's role is very important. Okay. And as we say, the counseling process, the whole guidance and counseling is focused on getting a maximum what we can say that maximum output of the students, isn't it, to overall development, so that they will achieve good academic scores. The final output of
Wow.
every school is what, to get a good academic record. And how they can do it if their guidance and counseling cell is very strong, isn't it?
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
Yes, yes.
this core papers help, or the curriculum will help the student to understand the theory, and when they go into practice, like we start with, if you can go move on to the next slide, ma'am, Shruti ma'am.
Okay. So, are there
Yeah,
more
I
slides
just
that
want
you
to,
would like
yes.
to share?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
we have limited time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, I just want to next slide. Yeah, this one. Okay, now here we can see that practicing constructive teaching learning. Here we can see the teaching competency. Here the teachers, the peer students practice their content very well. Okay, so whatever methods they have learned, they practice it a lot. And when they go on to teaching competency, you see the practice teaching lessons and internship. So when they go on to practice teaching and internship, they actually implement whatever they have learned in their theory part. Okay, and they master their skill very well, because for the second year there is 4 month internship. So by the end of the internship, most of the school recruit our interns there only. So when they come out of, means when they are appearing their final year, they are with their jobs, means the teachers are, they are already hired.
Okay.
So yeah, so whatever the theory part is implemented over here, and they are well equipped and their skills are very much polished to ready for teaching in schools. So the curriculum of B.Ed is in this way, which help the students.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I think the most important part of any relationship, whether it's a teacher-child, whether it's any relationship that we share with anyone else, this is something that I have realized as an educator, is the relationship that you have with yourself first. Yeah, so that is something that I would like each of the speakers to last speak, and beginning with you, Alan. Alan, what is it that you do? Because the quality of your relationship that you have, whether with your teacher, as a teacher with a child, or with any relationship in your life, is how you work on yourself every single day. So, Alan, as a teacher, as an educator, what do you do with yourself? How do you work on improving yourself every single day? What are some of the things that you follow in your life that you know contributes to quality relationships in your classroom, at your home, at your workspace, in any relationship in your life?
The same thing, ma'am. What you're doing now, smiling. The smile changed the whole world.
Okay.
So when you smile yourself and you are easy with your things and taking your time for the patience and listening to others, it is just first of all to listen to yourself. Where am I? What I am doing? What I have to do? The whole things. What I have to do? And how much I have to give each and everything for everyone. First of all, it begins with a home only. Then it goes for the wherever you work and all. So when I come out from the home,
Wow.
I leave the home over there and I start with the day. And all the day of work in the school, I do over there and go uh, at home peacefully. Sometimes my wife used to ask me, why you are not sharing anything? Why do you and I is enough?
Yeah.
So there's nothing that much. So it is first we have to
Yes.
be very and that same relationship is what relationship is with me. I shared with others, and the children are always there saying, "Sir, you are always why you are always having a joyful and a happy and in happy mood and all.
Yeah.
So you also be happy. Why always you have to be very serious and all." So
Absolutely.
sometime when I become very serious, then sir, you are a little bit changed now. Something is wrong with you. Though they themselves they will say, and that I look my forward first, then I really change according to it. So very rarely the children have noticed me, and the children they are telling me, the students are telling me, sir, be as you. अभी वैसा ही चाहिए. Okay, so that is really moving ahead, and I thank God and whatever the practice I'm still keeping, it is really good for others to having a relationship with me. Because of Muktangan, I have known I can't say junior KG, our young tree, till 10th standard, I have very good rapport with all the kids. And the young three children used to call me, sir, idhar aao. I want to tell you something. And just they share. And so now in the test and also they are really enjoying with me and very happy. Happy, positive is there, but happiness is more than that.
Wonderful, wonderful. So the quality of your relationship is the quality of your life, right? If you are happy with a positive attitude as a teacher who's reflective, because you did talk about being reflective and asking yourself those important questions. If you're able to do that, the quality of the relationship that you have with the children in your classroom will also it reflect on that. Ms.Vasundhara, what are your comments on this? So what is it that you do to make sure that the quality of your relationship?
I think Mr. Allen stole the show there with his smile.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Allen. I think what you said was so important, right? Like I think we need to constantly. I mean, I'm fascinated by the fact that they have now abroad, they have happiness curriculums and they have classes that teach happiness. And we shouldn't be needing to do that, but we should be role modeling it with the way that we feel about ourselves. So, I also believe a lot in, because a lot of what I do is we also talk about lifestyle habits. So I really think that, working in a school environment, you need a lot of energy. So, your food habits, your sleep, your exercise is something, and that is something that I also promote amongst my students, because we know that when they get into these teenage years and because of the amount of screen time that young people are exposed to nowadays, I really believe that not exercising enough has an impact both on their mental, physical, and emotional growth and ability to cope. I think I'm very fortunate to have an excellent support system in my family and friends, and social life is very important. In fact, there's a very famous study by somebody called Professor Robert Waldinger, and he's from Harvard, and he conducted a study. He's part of a study that is one of the longest studies in having been conducted in this psychological space. It's an 80-year-old study that was started just before World War I, and they tracked people. And one of the things they found is what adds to longevity or long life is your social relationships, and when you feel like you have people who care for you, who believe in you, and who support you, whether those are family or friends, that also helps you. I know that a lot is to do with self-worth and self-belief, but we know that we are not living on an island. And that's why it connects very well to what we need to provide our students in terms of being able to, promote this concept of having, an active and healthy social life, because we see a lot of isolation now. They're on gadgets, they're on using technology, and it's sort of like keeps them. So I think the importance of promoting an active life, like social life, which is positive in itself, is very, very important.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, Mary ma'am. Is Mary ma'am here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Mary ma'am. So what do you do for yourself? How do you make sure that you have such an amazing attitude and clarity and work on your relationship? So what are some of those golden nuggets that you would like to share with us?
Ma'am, I always believe that we should update ourselves each and every moment, whatever we are living today in this world. As Ms.Vasundhara madam said very so beautifully, she said we should also look at unto the things what we are eating today, the food habits, just only education values we are saying. We think that we have increased in our technology, we have increased in our knowledge, but do we really are so much educated that we check what we are eating? Do we have that system, food habits, all junk foods that we are following? So as a teacher, not only we are concerned with the education and values, but you need to teach them how you can stay healthier for a healthy life. To when you are there, only you can rock in this world. Without you, your name won't shine. So always keep learning and see that what you are eating, what you are drinking, everything makes a man. And I always keep and one thing in my mind, if somebody discourages also, I never get discouraged. I keep it in my mind, but I keep thinking about it. Why that person told that word? Is it really inside us? Is that point inside us that we are not feeling that that person has told me such and such about me negatively? We should. So my attitude is that we should not get immediately discouraged, but we should think over it. Is it really that point that the person had said? And if it is so, we should first make ourselves realize that I'm wrong on this part. I have to work in it. We should have love more. We should speak a little less. And I always keep jotting down the points that we learn every day. In my own diary, I have my things. I think God always gives us a great knowledge to identify the things, how we should live. Every day it's a new thing. And whenever I feel I get my time, I enjoy my music. I love to play Casio. I love to dance and sing and communicate with the people. So I just being an all-rounder, I think our kids should also learn the same thing so that they become energetic. If you see my kids, I have my 3 daughters. They might not be like me. They not communicate so well. But when I go to their colleges, when I speak with their teachers, these kids have always encouraged me, Mama, how do you create such a good relationship? My friends are calling you, my teachers are, my professors are all linked with you. That it makes a difference, madam. We cannot keep speaking every time. We can also only show the actions, whatever we can do. It's like through actions, spread the love. Bas. That what I would.
Wow. My goodness. So this is how we know, the quality of each and every one of who is speaking today. This is how the quality of relationships you create with others around you. Awesome, awesome. Yes, Vrushali ma'am. Over to you, the last person. And then we'll see if there are any questions in the audience. So in audience, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Yes, Vrushali ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. What I feel is every day is new beginning. So whatever had happened, you should forget it the last night, but you should keep a note that whatever wrong thing or whatever have went wrong, you should make sure that that mistake should not happen in future, and start with a new beginning. And this quality or this thought should be inculcated in our students also, so that they will think over it, that where we went wrong, what was wrong, and we'll begin with a new beginning in the morning. So what I feel is this, that we should always take a we should start our day afresh with whatever has gone or whatever has gone wrong to be sidelined, but you should make sure that those mistakes should not be repeated in the future. This is what I feel. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you to each and every one of the speakers here who has shared their perspective. Before we end and go to the last views by the speakers, are there any questions that anyone from the audience would like to ask? If you've not typed, you could raise your hands and then we could take the questions from you. We have around 8 minutes to do that. Anyone in the audience? Is the audience awake? Are you there?
Very much, very much.
Please use the chat box, or you could, as Gauravi ma'am said, you could raise your hand and we could take questions. Yeah. Yes.
I think people are blown away. They are just in that, oh wow, so much of lovely information we've received today. Samida has said that lovely information, a lot of beautiful
Yes,
comments have come all
Manjula.
along. Yes, Manjula.
I have one question to all educators and teachers here. You're all doing wonderful work from both heart and mind, and that's we got a lot of happy moments and we felt very happy. So thank you for that. One thing that I wanted to ask you all is there are so much of stress, obviously, to when you're teaching, especially when you're working, thinking on all angles. There will be a lot of stress that might come to you all. How do you handle the stress? Yes, one thing that Vasundhara madam shared was about having a good family, but other than that, what are the other stress busters or ways in which you handle stress to ensure the quality continues?
Yeah, I think Mary ma'am has raised her hand. Mary ma'am, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, sure, madam. Manjula, madam, really our life is full of stress. It's good questions today. Very engaged, I got this opportunity to be an administrator, as an headmaster, to be in the school. When we started this journey as a teacher, I wasn't pure. I was a teacher, I was an HM. This is where the Mumbai Public School started. Muktangan also knew all about this story. How this started. There was not a brick, not a cement or any building material to build the school. Okay. So from that base of point, we have started our life, where today the things are changing every day. So once we keep struggling with the things, so we need to understand that if the stress is there, we need to just jot down the points in 4 parts. Most important, little less important, and then little less important. And the least one will be which have little time to do. If you manage your family life and your professional life, keeping the aim. But first, I need to know what is my responsibility, what are my works, what has to be done in the school, what has to be done in my life, what has to be done for my own personal life. The 3 things also we should always note down in one point, and then thinking, today what I can do, today what I can do. When I was doing this stress, to reduce the stress, I used to do this. I realized that the work never ends. I realized that work never ends. If I give my 1 hour more in the school, then also the work will not finish. If I give 2 hours also, it is not finishing. So then I understood I have to try to do it. It is not that if you have decided you will finish it and tomorrow you are very relaxed to that you won't get any more work. No, there are new challenges every day. So give everything on its own day. Every day there will be one work that we have to do, that we can do it, madam. That's what I think. If we and giving ourselves time is also very important. Due to the mobile and all this, our workload has increased so much due to the WhatsApp. Instantly people are demanding the answers from you. They expect instant food खा के हम instant हो गए. Instant answer की जरूरत पड़ रही है लोगों को. This is what everyone is expecting from us. So not need so instant. I think we have to space for ourselves also. And private world, I'm saying they have space. We as a government sector, we don't. We have to devote time after our work hours also. We are devoted that time also, madam. Because I have seen my brothers who work in multinational companies, but they say after 5 o'clock, ho gaya. That is our personal time. I told we don't have any personal time. We manage both things because our kids are lively with us. We have want to be. So if we take up the challenge positively, it will help us. And if we manage things properly, it will really bless you to do your work properly. Leave all things to God. He is there. He's watching you. If you're right, you will get a good success in your life, ma'am. That's what. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautifully shared. Thank you so much, Mary ma'am, for sharing that. Yes, Vasundhara ma'am, would you like to share something?
I think we're coming to the end of the time, so I'm going to try and keep this short. But I think what's important is to remember that no matter what we are experiencing, because I'll go back to what I said in the beginning, we never have a neutral effect on young people. We'll have a positive effect or a negative effect. And no matter what we are experiencing, we cannot be in the field of education where we are around young people if we are going to put any of our stress on them. And we have to be extremely self-aware of our moods, how we feel, our disappointments, our anxieties or frustrations, because it should never come on a student, because they're too young to have to deal with that level of stress. So that's the only thing I want to say, that for me, no matter what's going on, personal or even work, because we handle a lot of like sort of work related stress also, it should never trickle down to the child. And that is a motto that I live by and work by on a daily basis. I think that's the only thing that I want to emphasize on.
Beautiful, beautiful. There's a
Ms.
question.
Gauravi, yes, we have one question from Ms. Benita Sanghi, which I think is a very important question.
How do we motivate our
how do
teachers
we
to
motivate
create
our teachers?
a bond with children? They get bogged down with curriculum. This is the chicken and the egg, who came first kind of a question.
Can I answer that?
Vrushali ma'am, any? Yes,
Ma'am. See, even if the curriculum is not changing every year, isn't it? So the teacher is always thorough with the. Let's take an example. If the curriculum changes in 2019, it will not change at least for 5 years. So the first year she will take time to adjust with the curriculum, but the rest years she will concentrate on how to build the bond with the student. And as a teacher, with what I have known my students who are teachers in the school, they don't take more than 3 to 4 months to understand their students, what type of the students are, who are highly active, hyperactive, who are slow learners, who are some might have some issues, but they will understand their class very well, and they know how to connect with the students also. So the formation of bond is with the good communication with the students. Okay, the communication here I will emphasize more on the non-verbal communication. Okay, your smile, the way the teacher look to the child, the direct eye-to-eye contact with the child plays a very important role. Okay, just if a child answers a correct answer, it is not always yes, very good. Even if she look with a very good smile and direct eye contact, the signal is passed to the student, yes, the teacher is praising me, isn't it? So the bond is already established. Only thing is to maintain that bond and have a good rapport with your student, because the students are always they always look at the teacher as their role models. Okay, why? Because even why I want to say this, because even if the parent says, no, do this particular problem or the mathematical sum in this particular way, they will not agree. They will say, no, my teacher taught me in this way, I will follow her way only, isn't it? So this bond will develop with the teacher's initiative, more of teacher's initiative, her communication skill, her way of connecting with the student, understanding the student's problem, trying to solve their problems in a correct way. And this will definitely help to build a good bond between a student and teacher.
Absolutely.
This is what I feel. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Vasundhara ma'am, 2 sentences. In 2 sentences.
No, I wanted to say that we had someone who had come to conduct a workshop on differentiation, and that was the first time that we were being exposed to this concept, right? That you can teach different levels in the same classroom because your students are on
Of
different
different.
levels. And she was not an Indian, she was an American, and the teachers kept saying, but what about the curriculum, what about finishing the portion? And she could not understand. She said, how can you? Then finally someone took her aside and explained to her what this curriculum and portion meant. And then she said, but how can you move to the next level if your child is not feeling safe and comfortable to learn at the level that they are at? So I mean, I think this the question in terms of like motivating, you can use different strategies like the flipped classroom. You can give your slightly more advanced learners. You can even have older students in a class teach their own peers. In fact, I feel they learn better from each other than they do sometimes from their teachers. We have found that when we give our students a voice and what we call student agency and let them take over the classroom, they are much better at connecting and teaching their peers because they understand themselves as learners. We are dinosaurs to them, in comparison. So I mean, I think the finishing of the portion and the curriculum cannot be an outcome in itself. So, focusing, if you, as Ms.Vrushali said, if you focus on building the rapport and understanding your students, the portion and the learning will just automatically flow.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's been such an enriching session with all of you sharing your experiences and so many wonderful strategies and techniques that we all could implement such that the relationship between the teachers and the children is strengthened. Thank you so much to all the speakers for sharing your views and experiences. Gauravi ma'am, would you like to add something?
I think my net had gone and came back. So I missed the last part, but it's really wonderful to hear, so heartwarming and so encouraging to know that from every perspective, the focus is how we can give best to our children. And we completely acknowledge and understand the fact that the quality of the relationship that the teachers share with their children in the classroom, the impact that they make by their words, by their non-verbal behavior, by the very intention that, yes, we believe in you, and giving that confidence to children every time and make them feel safe and valued in our classroom, I think is something that plays a much, much bigger role than just finishing the content or doing the syllabus aspects. Because what takes children ahead, and if you look at the 21st century, and pandemic has also we are break even now. We are it's just wide open that content way too many a day where they will value the most is the quality of the relationships that they shared with the people in the school, whether it's teacher, whether it's the HM, whether it's the teacher educator or the counselor or their peers or other people in the schools. So it all comes down to this one factor that I think will never be going out of date is the relationships that we share with our children and students and with each other in the school environment. And thank you so much, each and every one of the speakers. You're very and bringing us such enlightening ideas about how we can work on our relationship with ourselves and improve the quality of teacher-child relationships in our schools. Thank you to each and every one of you for that.